Part A, write an algebraic phrase or mathematical sentence that reverses the given action. Okay, add 5 to a number, we're going to do the inverse operation and subtract 5. So if we had x plus 5, what we're going to do is subtract 5, and of course the goal is that then these cancel. Okay, multiply 3 by a number, the inverse operation is to divide by 3. So we have 3 times a number, and the inverse operation, what we want to do is we want to divide by 3. And again, of course, the goal is that the 3's cancel so that we have x by itself. Okay, divide a number by 4. Inverse operation is to multiply by 4. So x over 4 times 4, we'll have the 4's cancel. Okay, square a number. So if you look over here on the calculator button, above x squared is your radical or your square root sign. So the opposite of squaring a number is take the square root. So we would have x squared and we would just take its square root, leaving x by itself, because of course squaring and square roots are inverses, they would cancel. Okay, moving on, we see 2 steps here. Multiply a number by 2 and subtract 7 from the result. So if we remember this from the do now, we know that we have to work these steps backward. So first we multiplied by 2 and then we subtracted 7 from the result. So we're going to undo this step first. Okay, in general, if you remember, for order of operations, we always do PEMDAS. This is the order, parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. When it comes to solving equations, we always do PEMDAS backward. So addition, subtraction now will always come first. And the reason is because you undo a series of steps, undoing the last step first. Okay, so the opposite of subtracting 7 would be to add 7. And then moving backward to multiplication division, the opposite of multiply by 2 would be divide by 2. So we would take this expression and first add 7 to make the 7's cancel, and then divide by 2 to make the 2's cancel and have x alone. Okay. 6. Multiply the sum of a number and 4 by 5. So we can see, if we think of PEMDAS, that parentheses came first and then multiplication came second. So we're going to undo the second step first. So our first step is going to be the opposite of multiplying by 5. We're going to divide by 5, right? Multiplication, division. And then P, parentheses. So in the parentheses we have adding 4. We're going to do the opposite and subtract 4. So think of it like this, that, let's get rid of this. So think of it like this, where first we're going to divide by 5, get rid of the 5's, and now that all we have is x plus 4, now we'll subtract 4 to make the 4's cancel and have x alone. Okay, so all we're thinking about for right now is inverse operations, undoing a given operation. Okay, so same idea over here in part B. In each example, n replaces a missing number. Use your knowledge of inverse operations to find n. So we have the concept that something plus 7 is 134. If we work this exactly backwards, we're going to use inverse operations. Inverse of adding 7 would be to subtract 7. 134, take away 7. And n must be 127. Okay, 2. Starting at the back, 82, the inverse of minus 56 would be plus 56. And 82 plus 56, get rid of that extra 2, gives us 138. So we must have started with 138 before subtracting 56 to get 82. Okay, in step 3, in number 3, you're going to see there are 2 steps. So we know we want to work with this backward, and we want to undo the last step first. So instead of minus 3, we're going to use the inverse plus 3. 7 plus 3 gives us 10. And then continuing back to the beginning, the inverse of times 2 is divided by 2. 10 divided by 2 is 5. So n must be 5. We can always plug it in place of n and see that it in fact works. Okay, so let's do the same thing in 4. We start with 58 and we're going to move backward. So we said we're going to use PEMDAS backward, which means addition subtraction first. We see addition of 6, so the inverse operation would be to have us do minus 6, right? Where 4n equals 58 minus 6. Okay. Then we're going to undo multiplication division. Wherever we see a number and a letter next to each other, that's multiplication. So our inverse operation will be division, divide by 4. N is now alone equal to 13. Or just think of it as we undid plus 6 first by subtracting 6 from both sides, and then we undid times 4 by dividing by 4 on both sides. Okay. And last, number 5, we know looking at PEMDAS that parentheses came first and then the multiplication by 2. So when we go to undo it, we need to do this backward, and multiplication will get undone first. Again, 2 in front of parentheses means multiplication. The inverse of multiplication is division. If we divide by 2, we have just n plus 1 left on the left side. I'll move it here. And 50 by 2 is 25. Okay, we still have plus 1, which was now in the parentheses, so we're breaking out of parentheses here. And the inverse of plus 1 is, of course, minus 1. We get that n is 24. And if we plug it in, we can in fact see that that's true. So again, all we're doing is inverse operations, so the opposite of whatever operation you see, like inverse of addition and subtraction. And where we see more than one step, we have to work PEMDAS, order of operations, backward.